I want to welcome everyone to the Kubeflow Summit for 2023. This is really exciting. It's fantastic to see the organization get back together. And in this welcome, what I'd like to be able to do is just talk a little bit about what is Kubeflow and what will it become. Before we start, though, I do want to acknowledge, the dive, catch, and touchdown effort that happened with the Kubeflow Summit this year. We all know we had a little bit of a false start at the beginning. We survived, and just like Texas will survive and succeed tomorrow in the game against OU, there was a tremendous effort by Mars and by Amber, and I just would like to stop and just acknowledge that these folks put in hours and hours of time, financial support, and dedication through just lots of questions. So thank you, Amber, so much for your work. And how about a round of... starting with Kubeflow, right? We have a lot of different ideas about how to explain what Kubeflow is. And we've seen this around for a while, where you could say it's an end-to-end workflow, basically, it's software for machine learning operations, starting from notebooks, having a training operator for distributed training. You have your AutoML for tuning, serving through pipelines, serving through K-serve pipelines for a workflow manager, all being able to run on Kubernetes on different types of platforms, and having these SDKs, UIs, and kubectl. Others might think of Kubeflow something like this, which does show like all the ML libraries, whether TensorFlow or PyTorch, and all the apps that are involved, and the controllers and the web apps, as well as all the external add-ons, right, that can be part of it, and Kubernetes again at the bottom. What I really think about when I look at Kubeflow is kind of something like this, right? If you go to the release activities and you look at the README, which I put up here, that talks about what's installed in the software, that gives you a pretty good idea of what's happening, right? What's going into. And then the other part is we have a release handbook, and I'm really proud of the release team because they really do a very good job of growing that organization and keeping the train running pretty much on time. And then finally, what else you can learn about Kubeflow is from the community, the working group, and just the release team meetings. But I think what Kubeflow's differentiator is around efficient ML ops is all the really hard stuff that come into what enterprises need to do. A lot of people say, well, why isn't Kubeflow easy? Well, because we do really hard stuff. And a lot of it has to deal with the underlying software stack on the Kubernetes native side of it, whether it's the installation, the security, the scaling to zero, the authentication, isolation, the GPU parallelization. All these things do take a lot of work. And then when you think about Kubeflow is more than just a technology. It is really striving to sustain an operating structure where users can invest in confidence, right? They know that we have an ability to deliver value, and vendors can generate profitable sales. We have to have vendors in here to be able to be profitable, but contributors also are gaining authority and adoption. And I think we've moved forward on all these. So if we keep looking at defining and improving the community deliveries and being able to define distribution value, what's the community supposed to do versus what a distribution does, and growing new functionality, how we are going to add that into the community, and then defining and tracking and publishing metrics. I'm going quickly because I got about 10 minutes on this. But first, when we start on this, we have to know who our potential users' constituencies are. Often it's ML engineers, ML platform engineers are the people that tend to show up, stay around, and really have some big problems that they need to solve. For architects and data scientists and software engineer and DevOps. But the big problems that continue to come back to the community just from an operational standpoint are people are talking about documentation, tutorial, security, and from installation. These are common. When we look at the ML lifecycle pieces that people really talk about, you've got this monitoring of models that have become kind of a very popular item that people really want to know about, and then connecting data pipelines to ML pipelines. There are other issues here too, manually building ML pipelines and others, but these are the things that we need to know in order to build strategy of where the very big problems are, along with how successful people are being. So when you see almost a third of the people getting 10% of their models into production, is that good or bad for our project, right? Is that maybe they don't really need to go to production, they're only using it for experiment. But then you see also that 50% of the people are getting 50% of their models into production, or even better than that. And why are we have people that have best practices where they're getting 15 or 16% of their models into production? So when I look at what we've done in Kubeflow 1.8, what is this, our 16th release over 5 years? We sustained this pattern of being able to deliver. And as you look at things like Kubeflow Pipelines 2.0 and being able to build pipelines easier, or simplified tuning using the CatTib SDK, or improved parallelism for PyTorch. Storage management. I mean, everybody here who's dealt with storage in Kubernetes knows that if you can make it easier without having gone down to the CLI, those tools are going to make it easier for your users to be able to move their data around. Or multi-user architecture. Thanks to some of the folks at IBM that did PC Power, I believe they laid the foundation for us to be able to do ARM support, and then improving our image buildings, scanning and security fixes. All of these things, I think, do go to that operational benefit, but also go to that that financial resource utilization benefit. I haven't seen as many really good, succinct business cases. And if there are end users out there that are building business cases for Kubeflow today that can say, hey, our number one benefit or value of Kubeflow is because we were able to get this done, and that's how we've justified, or that be helpful for the community, for other people who are trying to justify it to their management. But as we look at 2023, and the elections that are coming up, we're going to have new steering committee members. So the steering committee is currently 3, one's dropping out, so we'll have 3 new members this year. So the majority of the people who will be elected over the next probably 45 days are going to be new, which means we're going to have new energy, we're going to have new organization, we'll have better metrics, we'll have, perhaps better even partnerships. And to that end, I think we do need to figure out, what our community metrics are. We've had these up here for a while, but even to see how many people registered for the Kubeflow Summit, I think is really exciting. But the partnership part of it is hard. And most of these partnerships do take multiple releases to get done. And even as we look at the Spark stuff that has come up, right, and we look at the feedback that we got from the community, connecting data pipelines to ML pipelines. I mean, Spark is a really large organization. I don't mean to hammer on Spark. I'm just saying that as we evaluate our partnership projects and where we put in our time, we need to understand how big these organizations are, and can we partner with them, and help us. And then the other thing that I don't think we've really addressed as a community is LLM, right? And how Kubeflow potentially plays for people who are building LLMs, and is there some strategy that we can put together? So as we work towards integrating with the CNCF, right, and moving from incubation to graduation, we're going to see that they have processes which will be cumbersome at times. They're going to ask questions, and then we'll have additional exposure and resources, which I think are new opportunities for everyone who wants to take a leadership role inside of Kubeflow, right? Now's the time to step up, because I think with the CNCF and the new ability for us to manage, we're really going to be able to grow this community in a way that will be better in the future for everyone. So I welcome everyone to the Kubeflow Summit. Again, I thank Mars and Amber for all the work that they've done. And I hope that everyone that's here to learn and help has some time to stand at a whiteboard with somebody else and say, hey, you know, this is complex. It's been tricking me for a while. How do I get this resolved? And that's what I really love about the Kubeflow Summit. One last thing about the summit, I think that this is an engineering conference, in my opinion. You know, when we are trying to go out and get sponsorships and other people to come in, a lot of times we get put into a marketing budget. But if you look at all the speakers and the people that show up, these are very much detailed, hardcore engineering types of talks. So I almost consider this a one-day engineering sprint.